everyone, Agent Ghost here, and welcome to the archives. I just want to get through a quick disclaimer before we move on to the build breakdown. This build I got from Nothing But Skills, shout out to him, and I will leave a link down in the description below to the Legends original build video. I originally put this together and watched that over a year ago when I first was getting into Vision. I had tried several skill builds beforehand from tons of other people, and his I ultimately back then thought I enjoyed the most, but I also wasn't a big fan of skill builds. I just felt too stationary and too out of the fight, where I just like to run a gun by default and do things like that. So I didn't get into them. I still think they're great, and anyone that's interested in them, it's spectacular. And after over a year of playing it, I decided to revisit some old builds. This is one of them, and I actually started liking it a lot more. Don't know exactly why yet, but that's it. But again, please check out in the description below the Legends original build video if you're at all interested. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the build breakdown. Starting things off with the specialization, I'm using the Technician specialization for the extra skill tier it provides, and I'll go into why I specifically want that extra skill tier when we get to that gear set part of the video, as well as just a friendly reminder, because I first forgot when I was putting this build together and trying it out again, to put my skill damage in the Technician skill tree instead of skill healing. So just a friendly reminder, because I forgot about that at first too, to do that. Now, without further ado, that's it for the specialization. Let's move on to the weapons. I'm currently using the Capacitor exotic assault rifle that you can get from completing floor 30 of the summit. That's the only way to get it unlocked and have it in your general loot pool, to where you can farm and get them, more and more of them. Now you can pause and take a look at all the other stats, but the only stat I want to make note of is in the regular attribute, I re-rolled my Capacitor to have plus 8% damage targets out of cover. That is the highest multiplicative damage attribute in the game currently. And I'm primarily using the Capacitor assault rifle in this build for the talent Capacitance. And what Capacitance does is shooting enemies builds stacks to cap of 40. Each stack grants 1.5% skill damage. After 5 seconds, your stacks will decay 1 per second. So after 5 seconds, your stacks will decay from 40. But when you get a maxed 40 stacks, you will get plus 60% skill damage on top of the skill build, which is just, you'll see throughout this entire build, we're going to be ramping up a ton of skill damage, which gets insane. So the last part of Capacitance is for each skill tier, gain 7.5% weapon damage, which is plus 45% weapon damage, which also is very key to be able for us to be able to do decent or strong, like decent damage along with the skill build, which really helps out. That's primarily why I love using this assault rifle with this build. If you don't have the Capacitor, an alternative that's right now at the White House vendor is the Test Subject, which comes, it's a named assault rifle you can also farm Countdown for, and it will have the talent perfectly in sync, which I have weapons that have the regular in sync that we'll go over here in a sec, but it also has great synergy with any skill build, so keep that in mind as an alternative if you don't have the Capacitor right now. Now, for my secondary, you can use whatever secondary you want, but I'm using the AC-12 shotgun to get really nasty in people's face if they come charging me. Again, I have damage targets out of cover rolled into my regular attribute. You can pause and take a look at the other ones if you're interested. And then this is the in sync that I just mentioned for a second ago, the talent in sync. And what that does is hitting an enemy grants plus 15% skill damage for 5 seconds. So again, it will, when we're using the shotgun and hitting shots, it will help our skills plus 15% skill damage for 5 seconds until as long as we keep hitting shots, it refreshes that cooldown. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants plus 15% weapon damage for 5 seconds. So our skills hitting the target every time will give us plus 15% weapon damage, which helps our shotgun all that much more. And then the final part is damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. So if we're hitting an enemy with our shotgun and our skills, then boom, we're getting plus 30% skill damage and plus 30% weapon damage, which again just helps our shotgun and skills that much more when we're using it. I primarily use the Capacitor, but again, I use the shotgun when enemies are in my face or I'm in more close quarters proximity. For my sidearm, I'm using the TDI card custom. It gives us a +1 extra skill tier, which we're maxed on skill tier, so that's not super important, but just keep that in mind. And you only get that extra skill tier whenever you use a TDI card custom when you're holding the pistol, not when you have it equipped. So you have to have it out and ready to like you're firing it in order to get that plus skill tier. Just a friendly reminder. Now once again, I'm not gonna go over the talent because we just went over it, but I've rolled instinct on it as well. Perfect instinct is plus 20% skill damage and plus 20% weapon damage, I believe. So if you get the assault rifle I mentioned earlier, then it's that much better. Now moving on to the gear, that is the weapons, but actually before I start into the gear, I just want to make a quick disclaimer that I have for all my build videos. Please make any changes that you see and just use what you have here as a start, like just a starting canvas or whatever, and experiment and have fun. That's what I like to do with builds, and change things up more to my liking, even if it's just small things here and there. Please absolutely do so, and yeah, just try and have fun. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to the gear. So starting things off, I'm using the Emperor's International Mask and gear brand set bonus. I'm going to have 3 pieces of Emperor's International to get all 3 brand set bonuses, which helps our skills. And what they do is plus 10% skill health, plus 10% skill damage, again, what we really want, and plus 10% skill efficiency, which we get our skills and everything back that much quicker. Gotta love it. And then for my mask, I have re-rolled in the core attribute 170,000 plus armor. Because again, that's when that extra skill tier from Technician comes into play. Now that I have that, I will still have 6 and be able to just have more survivability, an extra 170,000 armor, which really helps with us, just being able to take that many more hits before we go down, which is very helpful. Now in the regular attributes, I have plus 10.5% skill haste and plus 7.3% skill damage. Those are the attributes we're going to go over on all the gear, but that's what we're aiming for on every gear piece pretty much, is skill haste and skill damage. And then I have a plus 12% skill haste mod in the regular attribute. Now moving on to the Empress International chest piece. Again, in the core attribute, I have plus 1 skill tier, regular attribute 7.9% skill damage, and plus 9% skill haste, with a plus 12% skill haste mod rolled into it. Now for the talent on the Empress International chest piece, I have kinetic momentum, and what that does is when in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1% and total skill repair by 2%, up to 15 stacks per skill, lost when on cooldown. So when our skills are on cooldown or we're out of combat, we lose this effect, but once we get to max stacks, we'll have, again, plus 15% skill damage on our skills, which just keeps ramping up all that delicious and powerful skill damage. Now to the final Empress International piece. The Empress International hands. I have in the core attribute plus 1 skill tier, the regular attribute 8.3% skill damage, and plus 12% skill haste. I wonder if you could have guessed that. Moving on to my exotic, for my exotic holster, I'm using the exotic waveform, and I'm mainly using that for talent, which we'll go after that after we go over the stats. In the core attribute plus 1 skill tier, and the regular attribute 8.6% skill damage and 11.4% skill haste. Now I'm using this for the talent Alternating Current. Generates a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every second, capping at 10 stacks. So when you get to max stacks, plus 30% skill damage. After 10 seconds at the cap, the stack transfers to your other skill. The process then repeats ad infinitum, which pretty much just means it's going to rotate back and forth between your skills infinitely to keep stacking to that 30% to make them that much stronger back and forth over and over again, which is crazy. Now for the knee guards I'm using the Emperor's guards, which unfortunately is a Dark Zone exclusive. I believe you can get the blueprint from somewhere, but I don't remember exactly where at this moment. So if I look it up and remember to do that in editing, I will post that here. But traditionally, and how I've always gotten them, you get them through the Dark Zone vendors, named, and conflict clashes is where I've gotten all my Emperor knee guards from. In the Murakami, if you don't have them, I'd just recommend throwing in the regular Murakami Industries for the brand set of plus 20% skill duration and the core attribute plus 1 skill tier. And the reason why I'm using the Emperor Knee Guards is it comes with plus 1% armor regen, which isn't going to be a crazy amount. It's going to be close to like 9 to 10,000 armor regen a second. But if we're in cover and letting our skills just take out the enemies, or we're getting from A to B, our armor will come back without having to use a armor kit, which is really handy. And then plus 10% skill damage re-rolled in the regular attribute. Those are the knee guards. Now moving on to the final gear piece I'm using, and I'm using the Wyvern Wear backpack for the brand set bonus of plus 10% skill damage for wearing one piece of the Wyvern Wear set in the core. And for the core attribute, again, plus 1 skill tier. In the regular attribute, plus 7% skill damage, 11.1% skill haste, and plus 12% skill haste mod. And I have re-rolled my Wyvern Wear to have the talent tech support, which skill kills increase a total skill damage by 25% for 25 seconds. So boom, as soon as our skills kill an enemy, we get another adding of plus 25% skill damage on top of everything else. So it just, again, it ramps up skill damage in an insane manner, and your skills just can help desecrate and kill enemies while you're just chilling behind cover, relaxing, you know? Now that's it for the gear. Now let's move on to the skills. I'm using the Striker Drone, which is one of my favorite skills in the entire game. You can pause and take a look at the stats, but mine is up to tier 6 again because of all those skill tiers, and the one from Technician, so I can have that armor core, which gives us plus 120% striker damage and plus 420% health. There are the mods if you want to pause, copy, and paste. Please do so. And then for the second skill that I'm using, it is the Assault Turret skill, which again, there are the stats. If you want to take a look, you can pause to do so. But again, we are up to tier 6, and that's 120% damage and 420% health at tier 6. Once again, there are the mods. Please pause and take a look if you're at all interested. And now I'm going to show off a bit of a gameplay example. So I'm just going to show, if you want to get the target right there, you shoot it like so. I already have it on named, and skill haste is disabled, so I just wanted to show that off. So starting things off, what I like to do is throw my turret out or just put it above cover and then pop. Basically at the same time, I'm just going step by step with the drone, and then I like to shoot with the capacitor, and it's already dead. But you can see on the side of my capacitor the number going up with the round like bullets coming up. That's my stacks, so now I have plus 60% skill damage when you can see that, so that's an easy way to keep an eye on it. Or you can look under the UI with all the other buffs that are popping up that we went over in talents. So we just keep attacking the enemies as they come at us, or a named enemy, we just melt through them, and boom, it's already dead. That's how quickly, and you can see all the damage numbers just ramp up. It's insane. And then with the shotgun, it's the exact same concept. You just shoot them, and your skills shoot it, and boom, it's just ramping up your damage. It's just great. So just basically shoot, point, pop out your skills, and you're gonna have a jolly merry time. So if I destroy my striker drone right there, it's a 12-second cooldown, which you probably saw in the stats earlier, which is just insane. So not only do these skills last for a long time, but it takes it's only 12-second cooldown when they finally disperse or get destroyed. Now let's move on to the final stats, and then we can move on to the gameplay footage, or final gameplay footage. So under weapon stats, I have 81,970 weapon damage on my capacitor, 20% crit hit chance, 75% crit hit damage, 75% headshot damage, 10% armor damage, and the 8% damage targets out of cover I've rolled on the capacitor. In the offensive, I have plus 16% weapon damage, or all weapon damage bonus, 28.1% assault rifle damage bonus, 15% shotgun damage bonus, and 15% pistol damage bonus. We've already gone over the gear talents and brand sets, so moving on to the defensive, and then we're done with the stats. I have 913,000 armor, which again, we're able to get close to 1 million because of that extra armor core, which just makes us that much more survivable. 9,130 armor regen, and 37,953 max health. That's it for the stats. I just want to say thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate it. Please take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day/night. Be safe and bye.